When I start seeing it's about me, I know it's the self-centered me. That's not my true nature, as true nature is Buddha nature. Turn the M from me and it becomes we. It's not only me that gives BBC. So that's the title of my BBC. It's not just only about me. So there's many situations that I thought it's only me, and then, but it's actually just not me. So the first situation that happened recently during EML was this guided meditation. And I was freaking out after the first session. I was like, I can't do this. Oh my God, this is terrifying. Can I not go in again? And then the day before, as I was preparing again, I started asking around like, do we really have to go for this class? I'm really afraid. Will Venerable pick me out to give the meditation? Oh my gosh. And somebody tell me, Johnson, it's not only you that's afraid. I was like, oh, it's not only me. So I talked to a senior here about it, and she was really kind. She gave me very good advice that, if you start practicing it and you really do it yourself, you will benefit more rather than just seeing other people do it. So I took her advice and tried it out, and really I benefited from it. So the second thing that happened was when accidents happens or unpleasant things happen to us, it's actually our negative karma ripening. And karma does not lie. So when we receive kindness from others, it's the same thing, which means that our positive karma are also using up. So we need to create more positive karma. So we went to a lake recently, and I reminded myself, Johnson, you need to repay the kindness of people because they are doing so much for us. And somebody, I muttered it under my breath. Is that the sentence? Muttered, okay, yeah. So I muttered it under my breath, and somebody heard it, and they said, yeah, you're right. So it's not only me. So Venerable gave the story of the Buddha during the EML, and she mentioned that we all have the same spiritual journey, just like the Buddha. So it's again, not just only me. So the conclusion here is that there's actually a lot of similarity between us as compared to differences. But why is it that we focus on the differences? That's because of the self-centered attitude acting up. And this self-centered attitude makes me see everything through this lens of me, mine, and I. And it's very small. The mind gets narrow. And it's like the lens of a camera. It's just very small. But there's always this function of zoom. So you can zoom out and see a big picture instead of just the small ones. And also, we can also change the lens of camera, the different type of lens that let us see the broader view instead of just one view. So we have Geshe Tapke's teaching, and he mentioned during the teaching that we start with one person, then a few people, and then we expand our hearts out to many. So during Geshe Chodrak's discussion during EML, he mentioned that what if we put ourselves into the shoes of the deers? How would they feel? And since we have so many talks of what if I just feel what the other sentient being is feeling? What are they going through? Putting myself into their positions instead of ruminating my own thoughts in my own afflictions. So instead of doing that, I've been trying to put myself into other shoes, having the open heart and understanding their experiences instead of just looking at my own experiences. And then through that, I realized that actually I can learn a lot from them, not only about them, but also their experiences, how they deal with situations. So self-centered attitude, it was mentioned in Book 5 of Library of Wisdom and Compassion. There are two types, which is coarse and the subtle ones. So of course, I can't do the subtle ones now. So we'll do the coarse one. And some of the disadvantages are, it motivates the destructive karmic actions that bring unfortunate rebirths and many problems in future lives. This is something that we don't want. It's the source of all our interpersonal problems and disputes because it makes us extremely sensitive to anything concerning ourselves and interprets whatever others do in terms of how it affects us. It causes us to think that others wishes to harm us when they have no such thought. This is also what Venerable mentioned, that we impute the motivation that they have. And this applies for me initially when I first came. I could see this really big after that. Anxious, anxious, anxious. So that is self-centered attitude. And also it prevents us from understanding the Dharma, especially from realizing bodhicitta. And it's the root of all the guilt, anxiety, low self-esteem, self-hatred, and even fear. So all these disturbing emotions actually arise from this self-centered attitude, which is driven by self-grasping. So I don't have the wisdom to remove it now, obviously. And then what I practice is, first is damage control, which is duct tape. And then rope, do not harm others with my body, speech. So I do that before I get out of bed every morning and just keep in mind, do not harm. And then the next one is to see what are the stories that are playing out in my mind. Usually there are certain habitual patterns, certain stories that we are telling ourselves that fuels this. And then identify them so that it doesn't bring the afflictions up to the surface. Then the third one is to really work on the afflictions, like the antidotes that we have. And then some of it I use is using the wisdom mind to talk with this self-centered mind, using Lamrim, the book 5, Shantideva, and also death meditation, which I find really helpful. Like at the point of death, what is the state of mind you want to have? Is this the type of state of mind that you want? So I really enjoy this book 5 of Library of Wisdom and Compassion. And some of the phrases that I really like is, all good comes from benefiting others. The idea of collectively serving. And this is a quote that I learned in the past. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. The second one that I really like is about cultivating equanimity. And that's what Geshe Chodra actually mentioned during the retreat that just ended. So when I really run out of energy, and sometimes the afflictions are really bad, I use the 4 great vows, and I use them in Chinese, but I'm very glad to see in the Library of Wisdom and Compassion, and it goes like this: countless are sentient beings, I vow to liberate them. Endless are defilements, I vow to eradicate them. Measureless are Dharma doors, I vow to cultivate them. Supreme is the Buddha's way, I vow to attain it. So I find that these are very powerful quotes, and it just keeps you going. So Venerable did give advice on reading and contemplating on the Four Noble Truths and doing a lot of purification practices. So one of it is the quote from the Holiness Dalai Lama, and he says, if you consider yourself as a Buddhist and really want to practice Buddha Dharma, then right from the start, you must make up your mind to do so until the end, regardless of whether it takes millions or billions of eons. After all, what is the meaning of our life? In itself, there is no intrinsic meaning. However, if we use our life in a positive way, then even the days and the months and the eons can become meaningful. So I'm still thinking about this quote that I read previously. It says, rather look childish than to act smart. Rather work hard than have nothing to do. Rather be at disadvantage than to take advantage of others. And rather be ordinary than to have status and reputation. So may we use our lives in the most meaningful ways to benefit others.